Welcome into the Brooks Bench with your host, Brooke, aka Shiggy, and my co-host, Brooke.
What's up, y'all?
And Megan.
What's up?
All right, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. Follow our Discord if you want to get up to date daily, basically. And then follow us on all social media at the Brooks Bench. But we have a lot of matchups to go over, so let's head into the news first. All right, injuries first. Sasha Washington from Vanderbilt tore ACL, going to be out for the season. Some good performances this week, guys. Paige Beckers is averaging 20 plus points, was less than one turnover per game. She's always, wow. Words are hard after Thanksgiving. I feel like still in a coma. Averaging 4 plus assists with less than one turnover. And she also tied Nafisa Collier for third most 20-point games in UConn history with 49. She's only trailing Maya Moore and Stewie, which is pretty impressive because Paige Becker's been hurt a lot, so she hasn't played as many games as, all of them. So pretty impressive. TCU got their first top 5 win since 2008, defeating Notre Dame. Can't wait till we get to that part for you, Brooke. Because you know who's killing it? Sedona Prince. First player in NCAA history to record 20 rebounds and 8 blocks in a game against an AP top 25 team. Good job, Sedona. Tanaya Latson from Florida State recorded her first collegiate triple-double, and then Michaela Timpson from Florida State finished the month of November ranked first among women's college basketball players in steals and blocks. Light on the news, but that's because the Week 4 recap is long. So let's get started. So first, the AP Top 25. We had Baylor falling out of the Top 25. Iowa is actually new to the poll, ranked at 22, and then the biggest riser is UCLA, up 4 spots, ranked number 1. Brooke, were you here last week?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we had said Indiana had some good wins. They didn't break the top 25, which I thought was a bummer. But I figured Iowa would finally come in here 6-0 right now, so I'm not surprised there. But I mean, Baylor dropped out. Iowa State dropped 7 spots. Bummer for them. And then Nebraska dropped 4. Other than that, I think it was a pretty solid list. It's going to get shaken up because Notre Dame lost 2 big games. We had talked about how Notre Dame last week, they had the big wins, and we were saying who would be your top 4 after those big losses and wins. I think we said UCLA was going to be 1, but we were saying UConn's been number 2 for so long. With South Carolina finally losing, should UConn be the number 1 team? I think me and Meg agreed UCLA should be number 1 because they beat South Carolina. But what do you think about that, Brooke? Should UConn have been first and UCLA at number 2? Or, I mean, UConn really hasn't played. They played North Carolina, and they ended up playing Ole Miss this last week. But before that, they haven't played really any ranked teams.
I mean, has UCLA been playing ranked teams? I haven't even been following UCLA.
Yeah, tougher schedule, and then they beat South Carolina, who was ranked number 1.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like UCLA, knowing what we know now this week, they should be ranked number 1. But, if you would have asked me last week, I would have been like, no.
Okay.
Just because they beat South Carolina, I don't think they should have jumped that far. But I mean, yeah, it's exciting to beat South Carolina, but
yeah,
I don't know. I felt like that one was going to be their fall, and I knew it was coming soon.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yes, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said no. UConn should be in that number 1 spot.
Yeah, and I feel like it was very split in the media, between UConn and UCLA taking the number 1 spot as of week 4. I think it's all going to stay the same though. Notre Dame is going to drop a lot. But other than that, I mean, how far do you see Notre Dame dropping, maybe past top 10? Because they lost to South Dakota State or something like that? I mean, we'll get into it. But 2 back-to-back losses from Notre Dame, do they fall out of the top 10, do you guys think?
Probably, given record-wise, and it's so early. But if it was 3 months from now, no, they wouldn't. But yeah, they probably will next week.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. It's going to be tough. But with that said, before we get into the week 4 upsets and AP Top 25 matchups, Brooke, we did end up introducing Megan's almost upsets of the week. So here it is.
For
the second week. Take it away, Megan.
Bring it on. Let's go.
That was a close one.
So I so badly want to change the title of this because LSU just
doesn't want to get off this list.
I know.
You know?
They're back again.
But I'll give them this. At the start of the week, I was already telling Shig that I wanted to rename my segment to make it all about LSU.
Yeah.
But towards the end of the week, they started to turn it around. I saw some good games out of them. So I will give them a break, a small break. But they had a no-biter.
They
LSU
did.
versus Washington won by 1 point, 68-67. And they only won because of a last-minute layup winner by Caitlin Gilbert. So
yeah, I know.
LSU,
and it was basically Washington messed up at the end.
Yeah.
They had the game. The game was over.
Yeah. They turned the ball over, and it cost them the win, and Caitlin was able to get that little scoop in layup.
Yeah.
But, yeah. A sophomore, Sellers, 24 points, 4 rebounds for Washington. She was giving them the blues.
Yeah.
All right. But then after that, Iowa versus Rhode Island. We know that Iowa's going to have a couple good close games, especially after they lost a big scoring factor. Caitlin Clark, we all know it.
Yeah.
So it's not really like unexpected, but they still pulled out the win, 69-62 against Rhode Island. So close one, but Then we got Maryland versus George Mason. Maryland, man, I didn't get to watch this game, so I don't know what made it close.
Yeah.
But they had Kennedy Harris for George Mason go off for 26 points and 5 rebounds. Same people for Maryland, Sellers, Caitlin. They're the main scorers for that team. They need a lot of more offensive threats to step up.
Yeah.
They shot 23% from the 3-point line. So
I watched a little bit of this game. I can't remember what I was doing or where I was. It's been a long week, but I turned it on. It was like the start of the second quarter, and Maryland had like turned the ball over. It was something where I was like, oh, they better figure it out. But they were ahead by like 10 points or something. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a blowout. And then I went back on the ESPN app and looked, and I was like, oh, shit. This game got closer than I thought.
Yeah.
It was a lot closer. It was kind of scary.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers.
I mean, we all know Maryland. They love to do this every year,
Yeah.
But does that conclude your almost upsets of the week?
We have another one. Louisville against Colorado. Louisville 79 to Colorado 71. Almost lost.
Snap.
Yep.
I watched a little bit of that one, though, too. Colorado looked good.
Frida Foreman.
Colorado looks...
Frida, 25 points.
Dang.
I mean, there was definitely some plays that Louisville was running that made Colorado look just like a high school team.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, like, Colorado was pretty scrappy with that Louisville team. And I was like, this might be a pretty good game.
And I mean, there's no one on Louisville that I can really call to say a standout performance. I mean, it was a team win and they barely won, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it came down to. But then we actually had another one earlier today. Duke had a close one with Columbia.
Really?
77-61. Didn't watch it, so I'm not sure if it was only close because maybe down the line, what sucks is these early games, when they do the tournaments and all that stuff, they broadcast it on channels that aren't, televised nationally, which kind of sucks. But so I don't know what happened down the line here, whether or not they just, put in some bench to get them some play time, because they did go like pretty far in their depth chart. But yeah, close one, I would say. They made my list. But shout out to Kitty Henderson for Columbia, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Oh, wow. Good game. Good game.
Yeah.
But I mean, these preseason tournaments suck because it's always on Flow Sports and you gotta pay a subscription for just one weekend. Like, absolutely not. Or Baller TV.
Expensive.
Have you seen the one that was on Baller TV? What is that? Where do you even watch that? That's just it's a missed opportunity because a lot of ranked teams go to these tournaments and they end up facing off. And I mean, it's a good atmosphere, but whatever. It happens every season. But with that said, let's get into the week 4 recap. We had Duke upsetting Kansas State 73-62. We had Ashton Jackson 30 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Reagan Richardson 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Ayoka Lee for Kansas State 16 points, 4 Rebounds. Now, I know I go through and do this doc, but Ashlyn Jackson and Reagan Richardson are literally carrying Duke. I love Duke's vibe. I feel like we liked Duke's vibe last year, but they're kind of missing something. And this year, I feel like they're going to shock a lot of teams. And I think in preseason, I had them as a sleeper. I like Duke. They shot 43% from the field, 46% from three, and then they had 66% from the free throw line. Kansas State, on the other hand, only shot 20% from three, which is obviously, not going to cut it. And some of these stats I wrote in here, guys, you're going to be like, what? You think it's a typo. It's not. But Kansas State had 18 turnovers, and Duke capitalized on that with 15 points off turnovers. The only place that Kansas State really outgained them was points in the paint, obviously with Aokali. But, I mean, Duke's becoming a threat. I like them. Maybe they crack the top 10. I think they will. I'm looking at it now. If you said that Maryland game was close, maybe Maryland comes down, but they will be still 7-0. But Duke, I mean, I'm here for it. I like Duke. Other than that, I mean, do you guys agree with that? I mean, like Kansas State, I feel like they're just chilling. This was probably their biggest game so far. What do you think?
Duke is just hit or miss. Like, it's honestly weird. Like, if they're not on, they're like horribly off.
I like Duke better this year. I feel like that was a statement for last year, Duke.
I still think it's the same. I still think like, they don't have that in between. They're like either really on or they're really off. I mean, we were just talking about last week how, their shooting percentage was horrible. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad to see Ashlyn Jackson having a good game. Hopefully she just can keep it up. But I think it's just consistency, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go back in time and pull all those videos, but I'm always a Duke fan and I like the coach.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's just too hit or miss. And to be honest, I don't feel like this year's any different so far.
Yeah. Well, moving on to Georgia Tech upsetting Oregon, and Oregon had 2 back-to-back losses that we'll talk about, and they're probably out of the top 25 now. But Georgia Tech upsets Oregon 74-58, so that's not even close. And I do want to point out Georgia Tech and South Dakota State, I think, should crack maybe the top 25. They've had they've beaten a couple of tough opponents. So I think those should be floater names out there. But anyways, for Georgia Tech, we had Ariadna Terrace, 13 points, 3 rebounds. Zoisha Smith, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. And then Deja Kelly, obviously for Oregon, 10 points. Right there, that's already a red flag. When your high score is 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Basically right here, look at this. Oregon shot 15% from 3-point. Excuse me, Georgia Tech out-rebounded them 53-31. Right there, red flags. They were tied in turnovers already. 50% from free throw. 57% from the free throw for Oregon. And then 78% for the free throw for Georgia Tech. Right there, that already makes up the difference for me. Especially the rebounds. Got out-rebounded right there. And I mean, we have to bring up the stats because, like I said, I don't have Flow Sports. None of us have Flow Sports. Okay, it's tough out here. We can't add another subscription to the business.
No, literally.
But we can read some stats. And right here, if I looked at these stats, I would be like, yeah, Georgia Tech won this game. Excuse me, this is crazy. And then Georgia Tech obviously had 38 points in the paint versus Oregon's 32. Oregon was already a surprise in the top 25 for me. So I'm not surprised they'll be out because then again, they lost to South Dakota State. South Dakota State has been on our upsets for, I want to say, 2 weeks. Not back-to-back, but they've been there, and I think they should crack the AP Top 25. South Dakota was led by Brooklyn Meyer, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals. Paige Meyer, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And then Deja Kelly led Oregon, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. But look, back to Oregon, 9% from the 3-point. Excuse me.
Just stop. What? Stop shooting.
But South Dakota State killed it 50% from the 3-point. That's awesome. 86% from free throw, and then 48% from the field. Rebounds, they're pretty close, 30-28. And then 46 points in the paint from Oregon, versus South Dakota State's 36 points. Oregon. I know it was a close game. I think South Dakota, though, is going to be like the new Creighton a little bit. You know, where they're just bobbing and weaving in the AP Top 25. They get you past the first round in March Madness. You know, one of those? Yeah. They're going to be my sleeper in that first round. I'm going to just give you guys a little sneak peek if they keep performing like this.
Yeah, let's let them get to the tournament first, and then I'll be a believer. I'm
just saying, who do they upset? It was like early in the season, though. They upset someone. I'm just saying, just keep the name. Just keep the name over there. Over to the next matchup, UConn defeating Ole Miss 73-60. Brooke, have you watched any UConn games lately?
Yeah, I have. Well, I watched the UConn UNC game.
How do you? Oh, that was a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, that was before Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you haven't seen with AZ Fudd back?
No, because I would have watched it, but for some reason, and I don't know if I ranted about this last time I was on, maybe not. I don't think so, actually. Why are we not showing Gino's breaking record game? Are you kidding me? I don't care if it's against junior college down the road.
Yeah.
Air that.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. And that was her first game back. And I was really sad. A sold out preseason against, I couldn't even tell you who it was against. And he breaks the record, and it's not on even ESPN Plus or Flow Sports or something.
Yep.
It was on like the New England network that nobody has. We're in the West Coast.
Hey, they always do this though every year. I'm not surprised, honestly.
Like, come on. It wasn't even a tie game. It was a breaking record game.
I know. I think the tie game was televised though. Where he
it was.
Yeah, it was, right? Okay. Top performers for UConn: Paige Beckers, 19 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. AZ Fudd, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. For Ole Miss, KK Deans, 17 points, 2 steals. I'm glad AZ Fudd is back. Paige needed another score, an additional score to this roster. Not saying UConn's bad, but when we watch UConn, I feel like obviously it's a Paige Becker show. It always will be. She's dominant, but she needs someone else to help her out. Even Gino says it in his not post game. You know those interviews they do, at halftime or whatever. He also says like we need someone else to help out Paige, and I feel like AZ is going to be that person. Hoping for a healthy season for her, because I feel like have we got to watch Paige and AZ play together like a full season?
No, not a full season. It was like the first like preseason.
Yeah.
I think they both have been getting hurt, but they haven't been getting hurt almost at the same time. It's like as soon as one comes back, the other gets hurt. So
Yep. So I mean, hopefully this season we get to see it because they could be the dynamic duo, honestly. But other than that, I mean, Ole Miss.
Hold on. Correction for this though, a little bit though. I think the stats. Paige Beckers had 29 points.
Oh, my bad.
4 assists.
Even better.
Yeah, and then AZ Fudd had the 18, 4 and 1. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to point out because Beckers went off.
Yeah, I mean she's averaging like 20 points.
Yeah, I mean she's UConn, right? So
yeah, for real. I mean right here though, points in the paint. UConn 48 versus Ole Miss's 18, and we had already pointed that out about Ole Miss. They settle for threes too much. We've talked about it. They cannot score in the paint. It's tough for them to get in there. But I mean, this wasn't a surprise. UConn is UConn. They're ranked number 2 for a reason. Yeah. They shot 72% from the free throw. 21% from 3 is concerning. But I mean, when you could score 48 points from the paint, that's nice. And 58% from the field. But other than that, I mean, Ole Miss will always hang around in the AP Top 25 usually. Great defense. It always keeps them in the game. I mean, anything else to add on that one? Okay.
I'm just, what I'm surprised with UConn, though, is how, I really expected more out of KK Arnold. She got.
Well, she's not starting anymore, first of all.
Yeah. Well, she got tons of playing time and experience because of how short they were last year that I thought that would help her game and help her be, such a factor this year. But it's been the complete opposite. She's coming off the bench, barely getting minutes, and she's not really doing a lot with her minutes. It's just surprising.
Well, it's also like it's a different role, though. Like if you're a starter, they expect more. You get more money to get more chances. Yeah. Now it's like I have a different role. I'm just coming in to give someone a breather.
But 17 is still enough to, do some stuff. But again, a lot of these games we haven't really been able to watch, but I know that she's always been a defensive threat, so maybe that's just the case. Maybe she's just more defensive minded this year.
Well, and with her, like, I don't know, and I could be completely wrong. Like, we're not in the locker rooms, we're not watching every game, but with her, it almost seems as if like that mentality switch is too hard. Of like, okay, I was the starter, I'm in the limelight, I play at UConn, and then now I'm not starting. And like, how do you balance that? And so it almost to me seems like just that level of like maturity needs to kind of happen, and hopefully that helps for moving forward. But that's kind of always the feel that I get from her.
But I mean, we'll see, because now AZ Fudd's back. I'm sure she's going to insert herself in the starting lineup soon. So it's going to change again. It's going to keep changing.
Too early.
Yeah. Number 7, LSU defeats number 20 NC State 82-65. Michaela Williams, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Anissa Morrow, 20 points, 15 rebounds, 3 steals. And then Sanaya Rivers for NC State, 21 points, 2 assists, 2 steals. LSU got a ranked win. Congratulations. I know they're like joking about it on social media. But I mean, I feel like LSU, it's always talked about with LSU's schedule. They don't have the hardest schedule going, throughout the season, and then yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, NC State, we think they fell off in the last couple of games this year. It's just not looking the same. I mean, and it's kind of showing right here for LSU. They did have 28 points in the paint. They shot 50% from 3, 52% from the field, 85 from, free throw. Like, how are you going to beat that? 44 rebounds. Like, they killed it across the board, except for this turnovers, 21. Yikes. But I mean, those stats are great. You know what I'm saying? Versus NC State, I mean, it's not horrible. 35% from the field. I mean, that's kind of bad. Just kidding. I take that back. 35% from the field. 34% from 3 is not horrible, but still, I mean, you're not going to keep up with LSU if you're shooting that.
Well, NC doesn't have like that post presence where they're getting second and third chances off of missed shots on the offensive end. So right there, that's, because I think a lot of LSU's rebounds came on the defensive end. So it wasn't even, they just aren't getting the second and third looks. And I mean, I think NC, I don't know, they're beating themselves right now. They're just not the team we saw. I know they lost their bigs, which is hard because you can't just win with just all guards. But
yeah, I think that's
problem. I think they'll pull it together, but we'll see. That's a big loss, 82-65, especially when LSU has not been killing teams, and then they kill a team that's ranked. It's like, what happened there?
I agree with you. Okay, over to number 13, Duke upsetting 8 Oklahoma. Duke is back. Thank you. I'm telling you, man, I'm here for Duke. 109-99 was the score. Excuse me. Reagan Richardson, 35 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Ashton Jackson, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. And then Peyton Volhurst for Oklahoma, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Yeah, Duke's cracking the top 10. 2 ranked wins. Yeah, they're for sure in there. But Duke shot well. 55% from the 3, 56% from field goal, and then 78% from free throw, 38 rebounds. And then 30 points in the paint was actually less than Oklahoma's 48 points in the paint. But Oklahoma does have Reagan Beers. Definitely a huge presence. But 21 points off of turnovers for Duke, which is huge. Oklahoma had 18 turnovers, only 34 rebounds. But I mean, Oklahoma for me was a shocker. But then I remember they have Reagan Beers. Peyton Volhurst is pretty good. What did I say? It's Verhulst? My bad. I just pronounced that wrong. But I mean, going back to what I already said about Duke, I like Duke. So I'm sticking with it. Top 10 now. And then, like I said, they're going to be a sleeper.
It's a consistency thing. I mean, because right after this game is when they played the Columbia game where it was dun dun dun, a little close.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, we're going into December, so we have a couple more weeks of them, filling preseason out, and then the real starts with conference.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, guys, just keep your little eyeballs out on them.
We'll see next game. They play South Carolina, so that'll be a
Shut up. Do they really?
Okay.
Yeah.
If they beat South Carolina Shigs, I'll be a believer this year with you. But
no. If they cover the spread against South Carolina, we should still be a believer. If they get within like whatever the spread is for them to cover, I think
I have trauma from the Duke team because I've been a believer for the last couple of years and it's gotten me nowhere with them. So
all right, we'll have to see about that. Yeah. Okay, over to number 14. Kentucky defeats number 19 Illinois 76-53. Clara Strack 25 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists. Desire Lawrence 15 points, 2 steals, and Adelea McKenzie 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Kentucky, I feel like is just gonna hang around. I don't know how I feel about them yet. They're just like they're good. I feel like they're just a solid, like good team. But like, I don't know, 17% from the 3-point. The only way they're gonna win is if the other team shot 6% from 3, which Illinois did. So that explains that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Kentucky shot 47% from the field. Don't worry. Illinois shot 26%. So
my question is, how many more years of eligibility does Georgia Amore have?
No, she's done after this. Can someone really check these stats for me? Did Kentucky really out-rebound them 48 rebounds to their 7? Is that a typo? I think that's a typo. There's no way.
Oh, gosh. Let me look.
That might be, maybe they got 17. Maybe I forgot the one. But if they did that, then you guys really know why Kentucky won. That's real bad.
Yeah, if they did have 7, we're moving on to the next game.
No, Kentucky had 48 rebounds.
Yeah, but what about Illinois?
No, they had 37.
Oh, 37. Woo! Woo! I was about to say. Yeah, we're done. No, moving on. But anyways, I mean, like I said, if you're shooting 6% from 3, it's a wrap. 26% from the field. I mean, yeah, no, you're not going to win games. Illinois is kind of random team for me anyways. And like I said, Kentucky will just be right in the middle somewhere. They may
Georgia Amore though. Whew, 4 for 17, 0 from 8 from the 3.
Yeah, that's what accounts for that 17% from 3. Yeesh. Yeah, a little rough. But I mean, Kentucky has good bigs. They're killing it. They have some good bigs over there.
Yeah, but when you're as a team 5 for 28 for the 3, you got to switch up the game plan though. I mean, yeah, you won, but
you go talk to Kenny and tell me what he says, Megan.
Hey,
I can't talk to him.
Talk to.
Yeah, honestly, if anybody's gonna get through to him, it's you, Megan. So
yeah, you go message him. You go message Kenny. Okay, over to number 4. South Carolina defeats number 15 Iowa State 76-36. Welcome back, South Carolina. They just wow. I really said when we were watching the game, it was like, what was it, 3-36?
Yeah.
And I said, is there a glitch? I had to go on ESPN, and it was like, no, it's the score.
Dude, they got cussed out by Dawn.
Oh. Yeah, and they said, it's a wrap now. Sorry, Iowa State. We got to take it out on you.
Pack your bags. We're sleeping in the gym.
Oh, my God.
9 points in the first half is like, I had to turn it off.
Yeah, I think we did stop watching.
I mean, I thought it was like high school or something. Like, I'm like, what are we watching right now?
Yeah, it was a little rough. Sanaya Fagan, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. Joyce Edwards, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 3 steals. And then Audie Crooks for Iowa State, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals. Yeah. Right here, Iowa State. Let me just read you their field. They shot 23% from the field. Excuse me, what? 17% from the 3. They had 19 turnovers. They did well, 32 rebounds. But I'm saying, like, points in the paint for South Carolina, 42. Iowa State, 13. They really only have Audie Crooks down there. It's really Audie Crooks and Iowa State. That's really what it is. I'm not surprised at this. This is South Carolina's bounce-back game. It's like if South Carolina loses, they're going to take it out on the next team they play, which they did. Not surprised.
And you know what, though? It's not even, when you look at the stats, even watching the game, it's not like South Carolina played this, like, amazing game, you know?
Yeah.
They were still missing shots, and it was a little sloppy at points, and it's just like, but yeah, Iowa just played horrible.
See, and that's, what game was it where you guys texted me and you're like, are you watching South Carolina? And who were they playing? They were almost losing. It was only the first or second quarter. Maybe it was the game they lost.
Yeah, probably. It was Notre Dame. No, not Notre Dame. UCLA.
No, UCLA.
No, it was
No?
it was a different game then. I think it might have been the one right before.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up like I think might end up winning, but early on they were like teeter-tottering in the score.
Yeah.
And I texted you guys and I was like, South Carolina looks bad. And they just looked lazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me that they're like kind of riding the wave right now. Like they
Well,
were
it's like even Dawn said it, like they don't have the All-American big anymore. Like this is the first season where it's like we don't have that. So it's like trying to find what works now because that's what their system's been for the last couple of years. They have the All-American big and now they don't. Now you have to adjust. It's a new game plan and I still think they're figuring that out. But it's Dawn. She'll figure it out. I'm not too worried. And I mean, when they played UCLA, UCLA looked good. Like UCLA looks pretty legit. All right, over to number 17. TCU upsets number 3 Notre Dame 76-68. Haley Van Lith, 21 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Sedona Prince, 20 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists. And then Hannah Hidalgo for Notre Dame, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. TCU might be legit, guys. Or is it just Notre Dame is just, they just went through something?
I mean, another game that I wish we could have watched because who would have wanted to see this. But taking a look at the recap and the stats and everything with this, it's like Notre Dame a little bit beat themselves and TCU just took advantage of that because Notre Dame was like leading and in this game all the way through like the third. Yes. And then they completely lost it in the fourth. TCU scored 31 points in the fourth quarter compared to Notre Dame's 12 points.
Wow. That's dominant.
I think this is also like we get to see a Van Lith happy and like healthy and like whatever fuck she went through, like she's coming out of it. And this is the Van Lith that all three of us loved years ago and followed. Yep. And so whatever TCU is doing and helping her through whatever shit she's going through, hats off because it's night and day the last 3 years in a row of how the Haley Van Lith has been.
Yep. And it's good to see. It's so nice to see because we saw her dominant in Louisville and we wanted to see it at LSU like, oh, this is a great thing, but it didn't work there. But it's like we all know what she's capable of and I'm glad we're seeing it now, you know?
And I think TCU's coach is good for her.
Yeah.
Like he seems very motivating and like, you know, March Campbell, he pumps her up, right? Mm-hmm. Like when she, you know, her assists have been up this year and he's like giving her props for that and telling her how, you know, she's always had it, you know, just boosting her after LSU. So
the thing about TCU is we gotta give to Sedona. Sedona's a mismatch.
Yeah.
And she be hitting some good
shots. Well, duh. She's almost 7 feet tall. What do you mean she's a mismatch?
Come on. I'm just saying it shows why TCU and now they have Haley Van Lith, the pick and roll. They have a competent, like, really high-level, you know, good little guard. I'm just saying, it's working.
If they keep doing that, their draft numbers are going to get higher.
I know. But, like, do you think, like, okay, if you're drafting Haley Van Lith, are you thinking, like, well, what if my system doesn't work for her and now I'm stuck with LSU Haley Van Lith? Like, is that a thought or no? You're like, I know what she's capable of.
No, I mean, if you followed Van Lith like we have I mean, I don't even know, maybe even since her senior year of high school, like
5 years.
Like, know, this is her and this is what she's doing. And like, I don't know if you're like, if I'm a Cheryl Reeve, no, I'm not worried if I'm trying to grab Van Lith, like depending maybe on which coach it is in the WNBA. But like, I know. And like the veterans too, like, now, if they all treated, maybe they did, like how the Aces just like held Kate Martin's hand and like guided her through, like Haley Van Lith needs that person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if I get her, I'm going to put one of my vets, like help her through this process.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I'm interested to see how far her draft stock rises now.
Yeah.
But I mean, Meg, you said it. They were leading. Notre Dame was leading. I was looking at ESPN, just checking stats here and now, you know, now and then, and Notre Dame was killing him at one point, and so I was like, and then I would go on social media and it says TCU upset Notre Dame. I said, what happened? It was that fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter. That's when everything fell apart. But I mean, TCU's killing it. They're just going up this AP top 25. After beating Notre Dame, I don't know. They can't be. They have to be top 15. They're at 17 right now. I can't say top 10 for everyone. I keep saying it, so we're running out of top 10s. So maybe 11 to 13. Okay, last one of the night. Utah upsets Utah. Not last year Utah, this year Utah. Utah upsets number 3 Notre Dame 78-67. Gianna Niepkin, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Kennedy McQueen, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Sonia Citron for Notre Dame, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 steals. If I don't say Hannah Hidalgo in the stats, it was a rough game, okay? This is concerning for me. 2 back-to-back losses, 1 to Utah, who is not ranked at the moment. I'm at loss for words. I'm looking at these stats right now. Really, Utah took advantage with points off turnovers. They had 25 versus Notre Dame's 16. They shot 45% from the field, 37% from 3, and then 81% from free throw. But I mean, Notre Dame had similar numbers: 40% from the field, 35% from 3-point, and then 92% from the free throw. And they even out rebounded Utah. So I mean, I'm confused. I don't know what happened here.
The same thing. They got beat in the second half. It's just they're not. I don't know.
They're not closing out games.
Yep. At least these last 2.
It looks like they tried shooting the 3 too much at the end of it instead of driving to get a foul and go to the free throw line.
Yeah, that's always the case. All these teams always settle for the 3.
Always the case.
Yeah, or a low percentage jump shot. That's just so frustrating sometimes, honestly. Yeah. But this,
and then you had Olivia Miles that
2 bad games in a row.
Couldn't really get anything off. Yeah, so
because she didn't do well, I believe, the TCU game either. But I mean, early in the season, guys, Notre Dame will still be in the AP top 25. How far they drop, I don't know. Those are 2 big losses, in my opinion, especially this Utah one. Texas is playing West Virginia currently. It is nowhere to be found televised. So I mean, I can't really give you an update right now. I believe Texas will win. This is the first ranked team I think Texas is playing, and West Virginia. I think this is the first ranked matchup for each team. So we'll be telling, honestly. But I mean, Texas is kind of confusing. They haven't really played too tough a schedule. So when the conference schedule starts, that's when we'll see the real stuff, guys. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us. If you're new here, we do weekly recaps of NCAA women's college basketball upsets and AP top 25 matchups, any news, any injuries, stuff like that. So if you are new, hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, follow us on all social media. And we're back next week with the week 5 recap. Peace.
Yeah.